So hi and welcome to Woman at the Wheel. I'm Sue, and I'm not quite the drowned rat I was just a little bit ago. I've dried out some, my hair's drying out. So this has been one of those kind of days. I started out this morning in Tennessee, and I ran Interstate 40 all the way over to almost Little Rock, and I thought, you know, I'm going to get off Interstate 40 because the trucks were driving me crazy up there. It was one truck after another. It was really heavy truck traffic, and I thought, I'm just going to get off that and come down here and cut through Hot Springs, Arkansas, and go over home that way. So that's what I'm doing. I'm actually west of Hot Springs. Well, it was a long road to get to here. That was probably about 11 o'clock this morning, somewhere thereabouts. I got onto Interstate 30, and I was going through Benton, Arkansas. I was about, 14 miles away from the turnoff to Hot Springs on Highway 70. And the damn truck broke down again. Actually, it wasn't the damn truck. The truck's not the damn thing. The damn thing is the vacuum air pump again. That's 4 times that bastard is broke. These pumps are they're pieces of crap, I guess. We've had 3 different brands, and they're all just crappy. They don't last 3,000 or 4,000 miles, and they just seize up and quit. So that's what happened. The pump seized up, and I happened to be on Interstate 30 when it happened, and I happened to be right at an exit. So I just got off the exit and pulled over in the first, it was like an exit and then an empty lot right in Benton. And I was like, man, that's pretty lucky, because I would have been on Interstate 40 on the side of the highway with all those trucks going by if I hadn't been in Benton when it broke. So I stopped, looked at it. I thought that's what it was, and I looked and confirmed it. Yeah, my belt was gone. It was torn, ripped, and the pulley was locked up on the pump. So I was like, well, shit. So I'm out there in the rain. Of course, it was just pouring rain, cats and dogs. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to put on my raincoat and crawl up in the engine compartment of this thing and get this fixed. That's my option. But I had the parts and I had the tools, and I got the training to do all this a couple months ago, the last time it broke. So that's what I did. In my skirt and my tights and my cowboy boots and my raincoat, I got out my step stool and crawled up in the front in the over the grill guard, and got my I've got a rubber knee pad, set it up there, and I started taking stuff apart, and I got the old pump out, got the new pump in. Everything went fine that way. It was pretty easy. No surprises. It was very simple. So it took me about 15 minutes to do that. And then I had to thread the new belt, and I had to get the belt up on the last pulley. So it took me a few tries to get it threaded right, because it's a little weird if you haven't ever done it before. But there was a guide inside the engine compartment. There's a little diagram showing how it's supposed to be threaded. So I was like, okay, making sure it was threaded right. It took me a while to do it, and I kind of beat up my hands getting down in there around the fan and between the fan and the pulleys, but I finally got that done. So it got to where the only thing I had left to do is get it up over the last pulley. Well, I've got a special tool that will pull over on it and give it just enough slack to get on that pulley. Well, I couldn't get it to give me enough slack. It was almost, it was like 1/8 of an inch from sliding over the top of that pulley. So I fought with it for over an hour. Finally, I gave up. I came and sat in the truck a minute, and I got thinking, I'm not quitting, because I've got to do this. Nobody's going to come rescue me. I've got to fix this damn thing myself. I've got to just be able to do this. So I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to try. I'm going to do it. So I got back out there, Gave myself the pep talk. Don't be a quitter. You know, you're going to get this done, blah, blah, blah. Pep talking myself. So I crawled back up in there. I mean, I was just so wet. It wasn't even funny. I was just drenched. I was like I had fallen into a swimming pool. That's how wet I was. I was so wet that my skirt was trying to fall off of me. It was so heavy. So I climb back up there and I'm fighting with it, and finally it just slips into place. I'm like, oh, thank you, God. So I got it done. And it took me a long time to do it, but it was better than sitting and waiting for somebody else to do it or paying somebody else to do it. So once it was on there, I thought, okay, I need to start it up, make sure that the alternator's running. That was how I knew it was broken. The alternator light came on. It's a battery light. And so yeah, that was the sign that that's what had happened. So I started it up. Everything was good. I didn't have any indicator lights. Everything's charged. Alternator's working, lights are working, everything's working, so it's good. So I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to go home. So I come on down to Hot Springs. I fueled up on the other side of Hot Springs. I went ahead and just fueled up without screw it. I'm tired of standing out in the rain. I'm not going to stand out in the rain and pump over fuel from my auxiliary tank. I'm just going to stand under the awning and pump this and get it done and go. So I did that. And got my parts back there that I replaced. So Bill can take a look at them and see if he can figure out why this pump failed. It's the fourth pump to fail. So we got to figure out something else. This ain't working. I love this truck. I'm not going to quit running this truck, but I've got to find some way to get around having to have that vacuum pump. If we can't get a good vacuum pump that'll last, and I don't know how you know until you put it on and run it a while. If you run it and it doesn't break, then it's good. If you run it and it breaks, it's bad. Well, we've had 4 bad ones now. So what do you have to do to get a good vacuum pump in this country anymore? I don't know. But I don't want to have to be making this repair, not so much because the repair's hard, it's getting the belt back on the pulleys that was really hard. That was really, really hard. So thank God it went back together. And of course I'm on my way home. It cost me about an hour and a half or 2 hours of working on it time. So once I got it running, I was like so happy, but I was so drenched. My hair was just stuck to my head. I was just so drenched, tip to toe. So I went to a convenience store and I got my night bag that I take in with me. I dumped everything out of it that I didn't want to get wet. And then I put my clean clothes in there, boots included, because I actually had an extra pair of boots in the truck. So I took all that in and I changed everything, stripped down there in the bathroom, changed. And it's hard putting clothes on when your skin is wet. It's really difficult, but I didn't have a towel with me. So I just had to do the best I could. So I managed to get my clothes back on. Socks were a trick. They were tricky. But I got it done, so at least I was dry and relatively warm that way, but I got a chill. So I'm just now starting to really warm up. So after I did that, I went by Starbucks in Hot Springs and had them make me a cafe mocha, venti decaf cafe mocha, but I had to make it with, heavy cream. So I'm warming myself up from the inside out with, hot coffee made with heavy cream. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. And I'm about, 5.5 hours from home. It's about 6 hours to go clear over to Hot Springs. And I'm getting up in the mountains now, so probably 5.5 hours from home. So I'm just thankful. I'm glad I had the parts. Glad that I had the training to be able to use the parts. And so this is, I guess I'm getting into Glenwood. Glenwood, Arkansas. Yeah, that's what this is. And if the view wasn't so rainy, I'd flip the camera around and show you the front out of the window view, but it's just rain and more rain. So anyway, that's how my day's gone so far. Now it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm not going to get home till 8:30 or 9 tonight. I thought I was going to be home about 6. But man, I got so much to be thankful for. I am so thankful that I had the parts in the truck that I needed, for one thing. That was huge. Really thankful that I had a place out of traffic to stop and do the repairs. That was huge, where I wasn't having giant trucks run by and splash water up on me, because that's what it would have been on the side of I-40. I'm thankful that I knew how to make the repairs. Even though it was hard for me, I knew what I was doing. And really thankful that for some reason that last ditch effort to get that belt on the pulley worked, because I wasn't having any luck with that. And so it's all good. So I'm really, really grateful to be warm and dry, because I was wet. I was soaked so bad. I mean, I was dripping. When I stripped off my wet clothes in the convenience store bathroom. Luckily, it was a big convenience store with big bathrooms, and I went in the handicap stall because I had room to move around in there. I took all that stuff off and dropped it on the floor, and when I picked up my wet clothes to stuff them in my bag, get them out of there, there was a puddle on the floor. I mean, literally a puddle of water. It's like, geez, it was that wet. Really awful. It was really bad. I was just so soaked. People were looking at me like, I don't know. Kind of like, don't you have a sense to come in out of the rain? Which I guess I do, but I didn't have that. That wasn't an option. I thought I had an umbrella in here, and I looked and I couldn't find it. I thought for sure I had one, but I don't know what I would have done with it. I don't know if it's one that has a magnetic base or not. It probably isn't. So I don't know what I would have done with it anyway, but I couldn't find it. Okay, anyway, that's about all I got. Just want to tell you how my day was going. So I'm going to continue on home. Still got a long ways to go before I get there. Hopefully this repair will hold. It should. I mean, even if it doesn't last very long, it should last, long enough to get me home, and maybe for a couple more weeks. If it's anything like the other pumps. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a good pump. Maybe it'll last for a long time. I don't know. We'll see. This is always such a cluster in here. There we go. All right, well, thanks for riding along. I'm going to try and pay attention to what I'm doing. Hopefully get home sometime before it gets too late tonight. And I guess that's the best I can hope for. See, I'm 56 miles from DeQueen, so I got to cross the mountains to get over to DeQueen. So I'm going to start doing that right now. Here we go, up the mountain. So y'all have a good one. Thanks for riding along, and I'll see you in the next episode. If I can reach this thing. There we go.